I wish good things for you this year and for your colleague, commonly known as Governor Andrew Cuomo. We have proven that we can work together, and when we do so on behalf of the people of this great state, things tend to work out much more positively. I don't see him in here, but I want to speak about a couple of people first. Senator Prasad, I apologize for not properly recognizing you before. Welcome. I hope you have a prosperous 2016. I want to thank my colleagues, Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins, Senator Jeff Klein, the leader of the IDC, Floor Leader Mike Gianaris, for their work in the past. And I think there are a number of things that we need to reflect on and keep in mind. But before I go into that, this gentleman who actually helps run this place, he's commonly known as the Secretary of the Senate. Frank Patience does a great job on behalf of all the members, and a lot of the good things that you've seen done are with he and his crew. So to the Secretary of the Senate, who is now coming right back into the chamber. The Cardinal is in his office, so the Cardinal heard of his voice being taken out, so he made him come out here. But Frank, thank you for all the work that you do. And I'm reflecting on a number of different things. I'm going to focus on some very positive things. First of all, we have proven that we can work together. Not 100%, but we have proven we can work together. And that's a good thing. When we listen to our constituents, when we listen to the taxpayers, when we work in a collegial capacity, good things happen for the people of the state of New York. And I know we can do it because we've done it already. We've proven that we can have an on-time budget. We've proven that we can have a spending cap at the state level, which is self-imposed but not statutorily imposed. Those are things that we need to be focusing on. I can look back to last year, see some things that we did really well. I believe that one of the things we need to do is to take credit for the things that we actually get done. Perfect example. We extended the property tax cap last year for another 4 years. That is still wildly popular with the taxpayers. It saves billions of dollars for New York State residents, and that was a very good thing. And we should talk about that. We also did a record increase in aid to education, $1.4 billion, 6%, the largest increase in the history of the state of New York, I believe. We commit over $27 billion a year in aid to education, appropriately so. And we will continue to have debates on that, so no one should apologize for that. And by the way, we all know this. That's where we put all our money. That's where the single largest increase is every year. So we do have accomplishments that we can and should point to. And in that vein, I want to talk about public service for a moment. I actually believe in public service. I come from a family steeped in public service, and I'm very proud of it. I'm proud to serve in the legislature, proud to work with my colleagues, even when we have our differences. So when I look around the room, I see faces of integrity. I see people who really care about the communities that they represent. And that includes the elected officials and the incredibly hardworking staff that happens to be with us. So we should not apologize for the good work that gets done. We should not apologize for the fact that we've chosen a noble profession in being involved in public service. And I think we need to stand up for the traditions of the Senate in particular and speak proudly about this institution and the good things that we actually do. We'll take the body blows, I get it, and that's going to come even when we're doing good things, but I'm going to talk about my colleagues. So I did a little homework, and you're going to have to bear with me a second. I got to put the glasses on for this. I know everyone has pride in their district, so I'm just going to run off. I'm not including or excluding anybody on purpose, but I did some checking on everybody's district. Notable parts of everyone's district. Senator Bonasek, Roscoe, New York, commonly known as Trout Town, USA. It's very popular, I know it is. Senator Aspiot, Riverside Park. I happen to know Riverside Park quite well because my daughter lives in Washington Heights. Senator Felder, Sunset Park. Senator Funke, Wegmans. Wegmans' flagship Pittsburgh store. Everybody knows Wegmans. Senator Gallivan, home to one of my favorite places in the world, Letchworth State Park. Senator Gianaris, Astoria Park. Senator Griffo, Utica Tomato Pie. Senator Hannan, Bethpage State Park. Senator Klein, Pelham Bay Park. We got a heck of a lot of parks in the state of New York. Senator Lanza, Royal Crown Bakery. The fact that you live there is worthy of enough. But just picking out things in people's districts. Senator Laval, the Hamptons. Senator Little, Lake George. Senator Marchione, Saratoga Racetrack. Senator Montgomery, Brooklyn's Children's Museum. Senator Ort, Niagara Falls State Park. Senator Parker, Prospect Park and Zoo. Senator Peralta, very proud year to be representing Citi Field. Great year for the Mets, so Senator Peralta. Now, we had a very interesting debate not too long ago about yogurt. But now I have learned that in Leroy, New York, which is represented by Senator Ranzenhofer, that is where Jell-O was created in 1897. I'm telling you, I did some homework here, all right? Senator Rivera, the Bronx Zoo. Senator Robach, Ontario Beach Park. Senator Savino, Coney Island. Senator Serino, Culinary Institute of America. Senator Serrano, Yankee Stadium. Senator Squadron, famous Peter Luger Steakhouse. Senator Stuart Cousins, the Untermeyer Gardens Conservancy. Senator Valesky, Liverpool Onondaga Lake. And last but by no means least, Senator Young, who has the hometown of Lucille Ball in her district. Fun facts about the Senate and our districts, but my point, in fairness, is everybody's proud of where they represent, and we should be. And when we fight for our districts, that's what our calling is. So we have a lot of things that we should be speaking about, so let me just touch on a couple of priorities, if I may. I believe that we have to do a lot more in terms of economic developments. Our sort of one-dimensional focus from our Republican conference is going to be about jobs and jobs and jobs. We want economic opportunity for every single New Yorker, no matter what their ethnicity, no matter what their venue, their demography, their geography, their income. We want to have everyone have equal opportunity. That's our fundamental job. Because I look at it this way. The more jobs we create, the more we stimulate economic development, the more revenue we generate for the state of New York. We can invest in wise and prudent programs. And if we do it properly, we may be actually able to do things like tax cuts, real tax cuts. I love the idea of a rebate check, but frankly, I'd like to be doing tax cuts instead of giving people back their own money, which they should have had in the first place. So priority is jobs. That's incredibly important. We're also going to be talking about the GEA. It is very, very, very important that we eliminate the GEA in its entirety. That has been a priority of this conference. It will be our #1 priority in terms of education. And I have said this very clearly. We will not have a budget if the GEA is not eliminated. It's been there way too long. So the GEA. Now, in terms of other stuff, I had a chance to travel a lot around this state. And it's a big state, and by gosh, it's a beautiful state. There are so many wonderful areas, and I just think of all the trips that I made, going out to Buffalo, going out to Rochester. I was up in Betty Little's district recently, visiting Bombardier and Nova Bus. So there's a lot of good things going on in the state of New York. And I have to say, here's a perfect example. Had no idea how much interaction we have with Quebec and Montreal. But by going up to Plattsburgh and hanging out with Betty Little and listening to her local residents, learned a lot. You can read about it, but going and seeing it and meeting the people makes all the difference in the world. So our priorities, again, are going to be jobs, the GEA. We believe there should be a spending cap. The Senate has passed a statutory state spending cap. The Assembly has not. With all due respect, Madam President, the governor has not offered a state spending cap, although we have lived within a artificially imposed one, which is good, but it's time that we pass a state spending cap. And we will pass that again this year in the Senate. I want to just talk about one or two other things. There was a lot discussed about ethics and budget priorities and things of that nature. Minimum wage is a very important issue. And we should all be clear that the Senate, in a bipartisan capacity, has passed increases in the minimum wage, because it sounds like everybody's talking about the minimum wage as if we've done nothing. The minimum wage has gone up 75% since 2004. And that was done working with the governor, working with Republicans and Democrats. Are we going to have a healthy discussion about this? Of course we are. But it can't be done in isolation. If we're not talking about the regulatory environment, the economic development environment, we're not looking for relief for businesses on energy taxes, manufacturing taxes, all those kinds of things, we have to have a complete discussion. And I know we will. But it's very interesting because a lot of people have been opining on this subject, and I have been circumspect and judicious in large part because nobody's seen a proposal. Until we see an actual proposal and get to digest what's in there, and perhaps more importantly, what is not, we have to be careful in terms of what we say. We, as I said before, we want to have economic opportunity for everyone. And in that vein, Senators Amador and Martins have done great work on workforce development. I was up in Rochester in Senator Roback's district. We met with the Rochester Business Alliance. And I remember very clearly they talked about the fact that they have a number of significant job openings, but they don't have the people with the skills to fill the jobs. So when we're talking about minimum wage, we should be talking about job training, retraining, workforce development. All that has to go together. The quality of life issues touch on very briefly, and they are all very important. Every person in this chamber has spoken about addiction and how pervasive and how terrible it is. We need to do more. That's one example. Second issue, Senator Serino. Quality of life, she heads up a task force on Lyme disease. That's a very significant issue, and we will do more in that area. It is very problematic in many of our communities. Senator LaValle's district, Senator Serino's district. She showed us a map. It's scary to see what's out there. Another thing, I'm wearing, you guys have all heard me talk about this. If I'm a one-note Johnny, everyone's got to get used to it. I have my green bracelet on for organ donation. Senator Hannan has been a leader in this area, and we've done a little better, but this is an area where we can make so much improvement, and this is one thing we can do that will actually and truly save people's lives. Lastly, going back to ethics. Let's be clear about some of the things that we have done. And I am not going to apologize. I'm going to be unabashed in suggesting that in the last 7 or 8 years, we have made major sweeping changes in our laws in the state of New York. I believe that all the members in this body in the Assembly provide more transparency and more disclosure and more personal and more professional information than any other legislature in the country. We made significant changes where there was a lot more disclosure. And that's part of what we do in terms of being here. We've also made changes in the Senate. We made changes that are important to the running of this body. Much to my chagrin, we have imposed term limits for legislative leaders. We've done it in our rules, and we will pass legislation to do that. So we've already taken positive steps. And last year, by way of example, we had a 3-way agreement on pension forfeiture. And by the way, we've already enacted laws to protect in that area. And they are good, hard, stringent laws. But we had a 3-way agreement, and the Senate passed what was agreed upon. The Assembly chose not to. They need to do better, because if we aren't going to be talking about restoring the public trust, it's our actions that speak much louder than our words. So, in terms of ethics and professional responsibility, I believe a couple of things. Number one, if we're doing our job and meeting the needs of the people of this state, that is the most important thing that we can do. Do it collegially, do it the right way, and things will generally take care of themselves. We just have a lot more work that we need to do. We will engage in whatever discussions are necessary and have them appropriately. I listened carefully to Senator Klein and Senator Stewart-Cousins. I'll give you a perfect example. Our conference has been philosophically and stridently opposed to public financing of campaigns. We're not going to change that position. I'd rather spend $300 million on education or highways, roads, bridges, the environment, healthcare, than funding political campaigns. So that's, for us, that's something we just want to make clear that we still are stridently opposed to. Having said that, the obligations in terms of the public's view of this institution and government generally, it's incumbent on every one of us. Senator Stewart-Cousins, you, me, Senator Gianaris, Senator Klein, Senator Valesky, Senator Young, everyone who serves in this chamber, we have to keep our house in good order. And if we do so, when we do it properly, the confidence that the people have in us will not only be restored, it should grow. I am desperately proud to be working in the Senate. I still feel very humbled and privileged to be able to serve as a legislative leader. I enjoy working with Senator Stewart-Cousins and Senator Klein. I have every reason to believe that we're going to have a very prosperous and productive year. And think about it. I said this to Senator Laval before. How bad a year could it possibly be when we have Cardinal Dolan open our session? So I look at that as an auspicious beginning. I thank everyone for their patience and indulgence. And as some of our colleagues said, let's get to work. Thank you, Madam President.